Hi, everybody. Today's top free science fiction book on Amazon has a group of friends stranded in the middle of nowhere when an EMP blast.
Wait, stop. Maria, we have 9 other books that we have to get through before we can get to that one.
Oh, right, I forgot. We do the countdown now. Yes, today we're talking about the top 10 free speculative fiction books on Amazon. Because here at MetaStellar, we read each of these books every single Friday. Not the whole book, just the beginning, but enough to tell you whether it's worth reading. And today, AMIRA and I were joined by community members Mary Stoll, Tina Butovsky, Alex KOROLOV, and Carla Nordlund. And AMIRA, I'm so glad you were able to make it to today's taping. I'm so glad to have you on.
Me too, I'm glad to be here. For those of you who are new to our channel, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free for our readers. We publish original short stories, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews. I'm the reviews editor here at MetaStellar, and if you'd like to do reviews for us, you can contact me. My email is in the description box below.
And yes, everything is always free to our readers, thanks to our Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. You rock. I want to, in particular, thank our newest supporters, Mary Stoll, Alex KOROLOV, Avery Parks, and James Cato. Thank you, guys. You rock. Now, can we get to the books? Okay, AMIRA, I think you read the first one. That's this one here, which is Law and Disorder by E. Hall, the first of 3 books in the R.I.P. Magic Academy Urban Fantasy series. Does that ring a bell?
I think that's the cover for Inked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Inked is number 6.
There you go.
There we go.
They're both the same color.
They're very similar, just 2 magical girls, right?
So what'd you think of this book?
I mean, okay. It felt a lot like Harry Potter fan fiction to me, and that might be fantastic for some people. There's a lot of teenage banter. The exposition even sounds like you're chatting with a teenage girl. It begins with her going with her friends to the beach. They have a fun party. They talk about hot boys and Halloween parties. So that was kind of a turnoff for me. And then there's a guy there at the beach who looks like a mix between Mr. Darcy and Edward from Twilight. And that's like literally how the author describes him. So clearly people are into that. And he approaches her. He approaches like the main character. He can't stop staring at her. They chat a little bit, and then all of a sudden, he says that he doesn't want to dance. Right? So, I'm probably not going to be coming back to this book. I mean, I can see how other people like it. The next day, she wakes up and discovers that she's a witch, basically, and that she's magic. And her parents are totally cool with it. So in that sense, you know, it's a bit like Harry Potter. Yeah.
Okay, next is a book that I read. No, not me. Carla Nordlund read Scale of the Dragon by Richard Fierce, the first of 4 books in the Marked by the Dragon teen and young adult fantasy series. The other books are $3 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited, for those who don't know, is you pay $10 a month, you read all the books you want, and kind of like Netflix for books. And a lot of books are in the Kindle Unlimited program, including many of the bestsellers on Amazon, including all the Harry Potter books. So if you read a lot, definitely a great deal. So this is what Carla said about the book, is that there's dragons in here, a downtrodden hero, a reluctant love interest, and she really likes the forbidden magic element. She says it's fun. And she's interested in what role dragons are going to play in all of this. So she says that this is a fun, comfy read that hits all the markers for high fantasy. And it starts out with Mina, the protagonist, who hates dragons. There was a childhood accident where a dragon scale became embedded in her thigh. And so now she works for a Lord Clodion, where she acts as a tracker, helping him hunt and slay dragons. And meanwhile, another character, Caden, wants to become a lord. So he wants to enlist to become one of the soldiers in Clodion's army. And they get tattooed with runes that give him a supernatural power. And he's chosen, and he's marked with a rune for strength. And so there's a lot of description here that Carla says. It can be a little heavy, but she said that traditional high fantasy lovers will enjoy this book. Okay, and next is a book that I personally read, Magic Touch by Ward Parker. The first of 8 books in the Memory Guild Urban Fantasy series. The other books are $2 to $5 each, and the entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. Yay for me. The eighth book is currently available for pre-order and will be coming out in October. So I love urban fantasy. It's right up there with military sci-fi. It's my favorite genre. And the protagonist is middle-aged, so I totally sympathize. And she's an adult, not an annoying teenager. Not because I hate young people. And she's divorced. She's going back to her hometown in Florida. And she's going to be staying with her best friend, who runs an antique coin shop. And when she gets to the shop, she finds her best friend's dead body. And she has psychic powers. So when she touches things, she gets visions of what happened. And of course, the detective investigating this case is handsome and single, because of course he has to be. I love this book. I love the banter between her and her mother. The town is super, super cozy. I love a cozy mystery read for the weekend that has magic in it. I totally expect to be finishing this book. It has everything I want. It has a cute town. The protagonist plans to open a bed and breakfast, and she's already bought a 285-year-old inn that she's gonna modernize. I love that. I mean, basically everything in the book is designed to appeal to me, so I'm definitely sticking with it. Next we have The Lost Prophecy by is this it? Yeah. It's The Lost Prophecy box set by D.K. Holmberg, a box set of the first 3 books in the 8-book The Lost Prophecy epic fantasy series. And the books are normally $3 to $5 each, and they're all in Kindle Unlimited. And Holmberg's been on this list before. So, AMIRA, take it away.
All right. So what Alex thought this was a pretty good book. Well, it's a trilogy actually. You get a set of 3 if you buy this. And he says there's plenty of action, and it's great if you like magic, battles with monsters, and epic characters who go on journeys. Not bad.
Yeah, he says that he plans to keep on reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the fact that the book starts in a tavern. That I think every book should start in a tavern. All right. Point. Next we have, let me pull that book up for you, is Inked, which is the book I showed you by mistake when we first started this show. This is it. The first of 3 books in the Gilded Blood urban fantasy series. The second book is $2, and the third book is currently available for pre-order and will be coming out next February. So Melody read this book, and she says that it starts out with Talia, who's the protagonist. She's a tattoo artist, and she's in the middle of applying a tattoo to a new client when she runs out of ink. And so there's no ink anywhere in the shop. The owner isn't around, isn't answering his phone. So she decides to use the extra special super duper ink he's got locked up in his office because the customer's sitting there waiting. So she breaks into the office, steals the ink, and then paints this tattoo that's a snake with some spectacular glowing red eyes. And then the customer goes into the restroom, and then he screams, and she jimmies open the door, and she sees a serpent rising up from the floor. So Melody wants to know, is there a connection there? Was this magical ink that, made a snake appear? I'm guessing that the answer is yes. Melody also likes the fact that Talia is Jewish, and that this is shown, not told. She says that it's rare to see a Jewish protagonist in a fantasy book, so that was appealing. And she says she's going to stick with the book. She doesn't normally like paranormal romance, but maybe she does, or at least she says, maybe I like this one. So she recommends it for people who like tattoos, who like paranormal stories, or who are looking for female Jewish protagonists. All right, next we have a book that you read, My Wicked Prince by Molly O'Keefe, a standalone fairy tale romance. So there's a cover. And AMIRA, what did you think of it?
Okay, this was actually pretty good, but it's just, I'm probably not going to read it. So basically the protagonist is a princess, her stepmother, or maybe stepfather, whatever. She has a stepbrother who's not related to her by blood, and he's extremely handsome.
Ew.
So handsome.
Gross.
I know. Bro, it is. I'm disgusted. She's got this extremely handsome stepbrother that she's not related to. They were in a relationship.
Ew.
It was only a few months. I think it was only a few months. And it ended really badly, and she's still traumatized from it. So she has to go in. So the story opens with her looking for him so she can tell him that he has to go back home and become king, basically. Oh, did I forget to mention that she's a princess, and her father was her stepfather's like a king or something.
Yeah, you forgot to mention that, because now the whole sibling incest thing totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Of course, they're royalty.
Yeah. So they're royalty. But they're not related by blood, so it's not like that gross, really.
But still, it's pretty gross.
Yeah, no, yeah. It kind of reminds me of like Marmalade Boy. I don't know if you've seen that or read that, but yeah, there's okay. The character building was good. The brother seems like a narcissist, but he's like believable. It's not super cheesy. Or I felt that it wasn't that cheesy. I felt that it was like believable and that the story flowed really nicely. Yeah, I guess I think it was pretty immersive. I think that if I continued reading it, I would probably enjoy it. Unlike the other one, the Harry Potter one, I felt like I would really enjoy it if I kept going. This one, I wouldn't regret it if I kept reading it, but I'm probably not gonna. So yeah, I would recommend this for anyone who likes the idea of an average-looking, college-educated girl who gets into a complicated relationship with an extremely handsome, very powerful, very wealthy narcissist. People are really into that.
I believe you. All right.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but I believe you. Okay, next we have Dark End by Grace Hamilton, the first book of 4 in the Supernova EMP series. The other books are $5 each, and this series is not in Kindle Unlimited. Nick Nabratovsky read this book, and this is also an EMP book. So we have, I mentioned that the number 1 book on today's list also has EMP in it. So I better explain what EMP is in case you don't know. It's an electromagnetic pulse. and basically a bomb goes off, or there's a solar flare or something similar, and then it creates an EMP blast, which kills all the electronics. So your cell phone dies, your, anything that's powered by electricity dies. Most new cars die, but humans and animals and plants are totally unaffected. So for some reason, this has been a super hot genre in the last couple of years. We have at least like 1 or 2 books, it seems, that are related to EMP blasts every week on this list. And so here, Nick says the story is about civilization is literally ending overnight. And so a supernova went off, and it triggered the blast, and now we're in this future called the Dark End, and it's not a nice place to be. And so the story is about Josh and Maxine, a couple that already had problems before all this started. So their son had cancer, and their relationship was falling apart, a lot of tense family drama. And then, all this other stuff started happening. So Nick says that it's actually light on the science, but the world is internally logically consistent. And this is a great example of the post-apocalyptic genre. The pacing's a little fit and start, and there's plenty of backstory and flashbacks between dialogue, but then it picks up pretty well and the action begins. So he says that he isn't personally going to be reading, but you might enjoy the book if you like to know the detailed backgrounds of characters and you don't mind waiting for the action to build. Next, we have a book that I read, again, that I started reading, Captives of Wolves by Eva Chase, the first of 9 books in the Bound to the Fae paranormal romance series. The other books are $5 each, and the entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. And the author has been on this list before. So hugely popular genre and a popular author. So if you like these kinds of stories, the book is very, very readable. So the story is about Talia, who's been trapped in a cage for 8 years. So she's been kidnapped from our regular human world and brought to the Fae world by a trio of really, really nasty Fae. And they look horrible and creepy, and they turn into wolves. So it's kind of a mix between a Fae and a werewolf. And there's something about her blood that lets the Fae keep from changing when the moon is full. So it's highly in demand. So they've been keeping her in a cage, naked under a blanket, barely feeding her, and every month they take blood from her and use it to mix up a tonic. And there's a lock on the cage, and it's a magic lock. And you have to say a special word to get the cage to open it up. And for 8 years, she's been trying to figure out how to say this word so that she can open the lock. And the day in which she finally is able to get the word right, somebody else breaks into the place where she's being kept and kidnaps her all over again. So then we switch to the point of view of one of her new kidnappers, Silas. And these guys are slightly nicer than the old set, who would like torture her and cut her and stuff. So the new guys still want her blood, and they're still not going to let her go. But at least they're going to give her a real bed to sleep on and give her some real food to eat. So I guess it's progress. And we hear from the point of view of 2 of her new captors. So I immediately started thinking, oh no, she's going to end up with both of them. And I went back to the Amazon page and looked it up. And yes, it's a reverse harem romance, which means that the woman doesn't have to choose between the guys. She can just take all the guys, which to me sounds really, really annoying and problematic. But some people like it. So I'm also a little bit turned off by the fact that she's a prisoner and she falls in love with her captors, which I think is also a little gross. But these are my personal tropes that I don't like. I mean, there's plenty of other stupid tropes that I love, so I'm not casting any shame on anybody. If this is the kind of thing that you like, the book is compulsively readable. And if I was trapped, in a B&B for a weekend with this book, I would totally read this book and enjoy it, and just not admit it. But yeah, like last week there was that book about the girl who like a Beauty and the Beast kind of thing with Beauty and the Goblin King, where it's like a fairy tale retold, like totally not my thing. I read the whole book.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's like full of sex scenes with her having sex with the Goblin King. I mean, it was like, in theory, this would not be something that I would enjoy in any way, shape, or form, but like I just gobbled the whole thing up. So anyway, moving on. The next book on the list is Outliers by Kate Mary, the first of 3 books in the Outliers post-apocalyptic science fiction series. And AMIRA, you're going to tell us what Mary thought about this book.
Yeah, so Mary, in general, she liked it. She liked the characters. She thinks she's going to keep reading. She thinks it's good for anyone who enjoyed the TV show or the book series The 100, which I've never heard of that, but
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Okay, so basically the plot here is that you have a young woman in a world where there are a bunch of tyrants who are oppressing her people. She's working in the home of one of the tyrants, some high-ranking person, and she will eventually lead a revolt. She will eventually lead her people against them. So that's the basic rundown. It kind of sounded cool. Her review, she wrote a lot about it, kind of a long review. So yeah, if you're into like, you like dystopian stories, you like post-apocalyptic stuff, you like the underdog story, then I would say go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we come to the number 1 book on today's list. The Light by Jacqueline Brown. And when we were doing this article, this was the number 1 free best-selling book on the Sci-Fi fantasy list on Amazon. It's the first of 5 books in the Light science fiction series. The other books in the series are $4 to $5 each, and the entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. So this is an EMP story. Bria and her 3 friends, all college students, they're driving to Palm Beach for Thanksgiving, and it's the middle of the night, and then the whole sky lights up, and immediately afterwards, the car's brakes and steering stop working. All their cell phones are dead. Oh no, it's an EMP blast. And one of the people in the car knows what this is and explains it to everybody else. And again, he magically knows that it's not a coincidence, but it's an EMP blast. So this is kind of my personal pet peeve with all these books is that, oh no, it's not a coincidence. Both of our phones are dead. It's an EMP attack. Like, really, maybe it's a coincidence. Have you thought of that? But anyway, moving on. They spend 5 chapters walking from their car to the next town. And they meet people along the way, another couple of people whose car broke down. And it turns out that this town is the town where Bria was born and where they lived before her mother died, and they moved away. She and her dad moved away. And then it turns out that these people that they met on the road, they're going to be staying at their house. And one of the people in the house is her literal godmother. So what a coincidence. We still haven't found out what actually happened, where the EMP blast was from, or what the main story here is. But I was getting a little bit of a religious vibe. And when I went back to the Amazon page, I saw that this is listed as a bestseller in a religious science fiction category as well. So it is definitely readable. I mean, it's got tons of positive book reviews, and it's #1 on the list today. But I don't think I'll stick with it. First of all, I don't like EMP survival books, and this book moves very, very slowly for me. I like things that are faster paced. But if you like slow-paced books that are thoughtful, with a deep focus on personal relationships and the human costs of these kind of disasters and how it affects people, then I think you might enjoy this book a lot. All right. So, and that
So,
was our whole list.
if you like this kind of content, please support our channel by hitting the like and subscribe button. We would appreciate it so much.
And you can also support us on Patreon. Your support helps pay for original fiction on the MetaStellar website. The link is in the description box below. And our fall submission cycle is this October. So if you happen to write fiction, we pay for it. So check that out.
Mhm.
And tell us what you think of the books. Have you read any of these books? Do you plan to? Let us know in the comments below.
You forgot to mention that MetaStellar has a book.
Oh my God, yes, I totally forgot. Our first anthology, The Best of MetaStellar Year 1, is available in paperback and ebook format from all major retailers. And the links are also in the description box below. Oh, I was going to say, guess where the link is? I totally messed that up.
But I can still throw out a random guess. I mean, could it be the links are in the description box below?
You got it, Amira.
What? Oh.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next Friday. If you don't want to miss any of these, so that you get some free science fiction reading for your weekend, subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell so you know when new videos pop up. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Amira, for joining me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Bye.
Bye, everybody.